Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, starting at verse 22, going through chapter 10, verse 5. Moses, after talking with the people of Israel about that embarrassing episode with the golden calf, then says, you know what, that wasn't a one-off, because you rebelled against the Lord and you angered the Lord at Taberah, at Massa, at Kibroth Hattaavah, and at Kadesh Barnea. Basically, he says, here, and here, and here. You angered the Lord. And he says, you rebel, you don't trust the Lord, you have this stubborn sin. And he says to them in verse 24, you've been rebelling against the Lord from day one. Since the first time I met you guys, this is who you are. And I want you, and he says, I've prayed and prayed for 40 days and 40 nights that you would not be destroyed. But I want you to understand, it's not about the Lord destroying him. It's about them destroying themselves by their sinful behavior. And what are the behaviors or attitudes that exist in the church that threaten to destroy the church? You know, whether it's pride and arrogance, unforgiveness or bitterness, whether it's apostasy, heterodoxy. I mean, the list goes on, right? And Moses says to them, the people, and I even had to go out on a limb for you with the Lord. I prayed to the Lord and I said, remember, you're the one who picked these people. They were never, you knew who they were when you picked them, and you still redeemed them by your great power. You made these people, of all people you could have chosen, you made these people your own people. And then he says, remember the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, those guys aren't Mr. Universe either. Every one of them had their problems and their rebellion against God in their own way, right? And so they were, what God is trying to say is that there is a stubborn grace that comes from the Lord. Not only are the people stubborn, but God is stubborn. God can be just as stubborn as we are. Thank God the Lord is jealous and that he is stubborn. And so Moses says, why don't you overlook? Don't remember their wickedness, their sin. Why don't you remember something that's even greater, which is your stubborn grace, your promise. And then he talks in verse 1 about how he made the second copy of the 10 words. That's what they are in the Hebrew, 10 words, the 10 commandments. And he says, build an ark, and the words of, and what the 10 commandments is really this vision statement for the people of Israel about how these are the words about who they will be as God's people. The number one thing is that the Lord will be their God, and they will have no other gods before him. That all their lives will be given to him. And all the other commandments flow out of the first commandment. And so Moses says to God, they're your people, your inheritance. You brought them out by your great power and your stretched out hand. And that stretched out hand is the second person of the Trinity. That stretched out arm of God is Christ. And you and I are saved by the outstretched arms of Christ on the cross. That makes us a stubborn, sinful people, God's forgiven people. Thank God for that. Well, hey, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.